Alrighty, here we go. We're going to do this test review for this Unit 5. Is that already Unit 5? It just seems so wrong to say Unit 5. Didn't realize we were on Unit 5. I got to figure out when the heck we had Unit 4. Anyways, no, I'm just kidding. So let's look at this. What are we going to do? We are going to talk about graphing quadratic forms or quadratic equations. I like to do a lot of this from Vertex Form. So let's talk about the Vertex Form. Things you can add to your note card. Make a note card. Why not? Why not? Why not? It would be a good thing idea. So again, keep in mind that the number inside the parentheses will tell us to go to the left or to the right. The number outside at the end goes up or down. If you have a positive number in front, it's a min. If you have a negative number in the front, it's a max. And that number, that a, will multiply the quadratic slope to get you whatever numbers you need to go up or down to go from the vertex. What do you mean by that? Well, let's find out. Alright, so in this problem, I have x minus 5 squared plus 1. I can move this 5 tells me to go to the right 5 and then up 1. So I'm going to the right 5, up 1, which is right here. There is no number here in the front, so my quadratic slope is going to stay at 1, 3, 5, which means from this point here at 5, 1, I'm going to go up 1, over, up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then over, and then I've got my graph with a vertex at positive 5, positive 1. Your axis of symmetry is 5, so you might want to make note that your axis of symmetry is always the x value of your vertex, and the max or min value, in this case min, is the y value of your vertex. The number of roots I have here are actually type of roots are 2 imaginary, and if you got 2 imaginary, you have no real roots to say give me a value of. So you put here an A, not applicable. Anyways, there we go. That's number 1. Let's look at number 2. Keep in mind, when do I know it's 2 real? When they cross the x-axis. 1 real is when the vertex touches the x-axis. 2 imaginary is when they don't touch the x-axis at all, or cross the x-axis at all. If you have real roots, you need to graph it onto the calculator and press menu 5-1 to say find those roots through the trace function. Alright, so on this one, okay, for these numbers, I'm not going to worry about this negative 2 just yet, but this number tells me to go to the right 1, up 6. So right 1, up 6 is right here. Now I'm going to take this 2 and multiply the 1, 3, and 5 to it, so that would be negative 2 times 1, which is negative 2 times 3, which is negative 6, negative 2 times 5, which is negative 10. So that tells me I'm going down 2, 1 to the right and left, down 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to the right and to the left, and if I had space, down 10. Okay, so my vertex here is at positive 1, positive 6, the axis of symmetry is at 1, your max, that's because of the negative, is at 6, you have 2 real roots, and now you got to find those real roots. So if I do the trace function on my calculator, I would find out that the real roots are at negative 0.732 and 2.73. And so that's it. That's where they cross the x-axis, and we'll talk about what more of those mean in the next unit. Alright, change number 3 to this one, x plus 2 squared minus 5. I just made a typo and kind of forgot to change things. Alright, so this tells me I'm going to go to the left 2, down 5, left 2, down 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be right here. Okay, then there's nothing to multiply by, so I'm going up 1, up 3, up 5. So up 1, up 3, up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Had space for that. And connect my dots. My vertex is at negative 2, negative 5. Again, the axis of symmetry, which is the x value of that, is negative 2. I have a min at negative 5. I have 2 real roots, and those real roots are, let's find out. So I've got negative 4.24 and then also 0.236 or 236 thousandths. And there you go. Kind of go from there. Alright, so let's look at the next one. This one tells me to go to the right one, but I don't go up or down any. The -2 would multiply the 136 or 135 again to get -2, -6, -10. Oh, that's a horrible looking -10. Let's try that again. Okay, so I'm going to go down 2 over 1, down 6. Should be about right here. And that's about all the space I've got. Technically I didn't even have for the 6, but oh well. Vertex is at 1, 0. Axisymmetry, this has a max at 0. One real root. And that real root's easy to find. You don't even need to do a trace function. It's right here at 1. Keep in mind these are like the x values. Remember, these are the x values of where they cross the x-axis. So it's not a point, it's the x values of the x-axis. Okay? And that's it for that one. And now let's get into number 5 and start getting into these where you have to change them. See, these are what is known as vertex form. Now let's get into changing it from standard form, which is number 5, to vertex form. First step is always move the number that's next to the x to the other side. So you get f of x is equal to -22 equals x squared plus 8x. Now, I always go ahead and write the parentheses right under that. You always divide this number here by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and then you're going to square it. So you're going to square this and get positive 16. It will always be a positive there. You'll put plus 16 over here, and you would get -6. Move that to the other side, and you've got f of x is equal to x plus 4 squared minus 6. Oh, I'm sorry, plus 6. Ooh, I almost messed up there. Don't forget, when it moves over to the other side, it will change signs. Just like when it moved over at the beginning, at the end, it'll change signs. So, what does that tell me? So, I have x plus 4 squared plus 6, which means I'm going to the left 4 and up 6. I end up right there. There's nothing in front of the parentheses, so I'm using the standard quadratic slope. And I only have space to really put going up 1. My vertex is at -4, 6. There's my axis of symmetry. I have a min at 6 with 2 imaginary because they're not even coming close to crossing the x-axis. So then you could write an A. Okay, so same thing. Again, see how I keep doing the same pattern. The first step is to move over. It becomes -13. That was horrible. Let's try that again. There we go. Alright. Parentheses x divide by 2. Square it. And then take that square and add it to the other side. When you combine those two, you get a -4. Move it to the other side. F of x is equal to x plus 3 plus 4. Forgot the square. And there you go. So this one right here is x plus 3 squared plus 4, which means I'm going to the left 3, up 4. Again, nothing to change the 135, so I'm going to go up 1. Don't even have really room to put the up 3, especially considering that I have like a thing that like blocking me. Let's try that again. Okay, so my vertex is at -3, 4, which means my axis of symmetry is at -3. I have a min at 4. I have 2 imaginary again. And then I have an A. I really should have done the division symbol on the other side. Anyways, getting closer. I know this is getting a little long, but that's okay. Okay, so number 7, same steps. The only difference here is that you've got this -8. So you got to be careful with that. Keep in mind that that will change the sign here. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Then I'm adding 16, because 4 squared is 16. That gives me negative 5. Move it to the other side. And I get x minus 4 squared plus 5, because this will move to the other side. So number 7 here, I have x plus 4 squared minus 5, which means I'm going to the left 4, down 5. I'm sorry, that was a minus 4, wasn't it? Minus 4. So I'm going to the right 4, down 5. Whoops. And then again, I can go up 1, 3, 5. So up 1 over 1. Up 3, 1, 2, plus 5. Boy, I'm really getting my signs mixed up. Let's try that again. I've got to remember what I'm doing here. Alright, up to the right 4, up 5. I was going to get this right sooner or later. I'm going up 1 over 1. And that's all I have space for. Goodness, I was getting my signs confused. Here's 4, min at 5, 2 imaginary, because why not? I'll have this fixed, by the way, on the test. So NA. So you're not going to get so many NAs. Just remember that. Alright, now we get to the slightly harder ones. And I'm going to do 2 like this one, but I'll change the number here. You're going to move over the number first. That happens no matter what. Okay, now, to do completing the square, you have to have x squared by itself, which means I need to get rid of this 2. I'm going to divide it out. So I'm dividing it out of the whole thing. So 4 divided by 2 gives me 2x. Now, I would do what I normally would do, which is divide this by 2 to get 1. Square that would be plus 1. That will get added to the other side, but before you can do that, you've got to say 2 times 1. Like, you got to take this number and multiply it to the number in front. 1 times 2 gives you plus 2, which gives you 3. Move the 3 to the other side. You get 2 parentheses x plus 1 squared minus 3, and you go from there. So this would be 2 parentheses x plus 1 squared minus 3. Make sure I got it right. Yay, I did. So 1 to the left, down 3, I'm right here. So that means I'm going, and I can use my, take this 2, multiply it to the 1, 3, 5, that would give me 2, 6, 10. So up 2 over 1, up 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over 1. And I don't have room for the 10, which kind of happens quite often, to be honest. And there you go. You've got a vertex at -1, -3, axisymmetry, min value, 2 real, and let's find those real roots. Okay, so these are the real roots that I got, -2.22 and 2.225. I would caution you that when I saw these on the calculator, I got some kind of funky number that said like -2.22 parentheses 2e -12. Anytime you see that, just ignore this and just ignore that and just go with the x value. Again, focus on the x value, because it will tell you, like here, and it'll say 0. So you'll know it's a 0. Alright, moving on. Let's get to this -1. Okay, so same steps. Move the -11 over. It becomes +11. You've got negative x squared minus 6x. But again, the x squared has to be by itself. So I have to get rid of that -1. And to do that, I'm dividing everything by -1. And if I do that, I get 6x positive. So this would be like this, ready to go. Divide the 6 by 2. That's 3. 3 squared is 9. But before you move the 9 over to the other side, you got to make sure it multiplies the negative and gets you -9. Combine and you would end up with 2. Move it over and you've got -2. -1 parentheses x plus 3 squared minus 2. So using that, x plus 3 squared minus 2. You're going to be at negative 3, positive negative 2, so you move to the left 3, down 2. The negative 1 would change your 1, 3, 5 to negative 1, negative 3, negative 5. So I'm going down 1, down 3. I would go down 5 if I had space. So my vertex was at negative 3, negative 2. That would be negative 3. Max at negative 2. I have 2 imaginary again. And so that's NA. Okay, so one last example, just to show you again with a number in front. So hopefully you'll get this happy joy if you do this. Okay, so I'm moving this 7 over, and this is my last one, by the way. Minus 7, right? Okay, now again, I got to get rid of the number in front of the x squared. In this case, I have a 3. So basically, I'm dividing everything here by 3. So you're dividing everything by the number that's in front there. 12 divided by 3 gives me 4x. 3 parentheses x plus. Now I can divide this by 2. Square that. And before I move it over here, got to remember, it's got to multiply. So that would give me 12. Then I can go ahead and say plus 5. Move it back over. 3x plus 2 squared minus 5, and we are done with that problem, but hopefully you get the idea for the steps. Anyways, I've gone on quite a bit here. That's it for today. Thank you very much for your time. Y'all take care.